Welcome to Thrive Off the Ladder, the show that gives women the encouragement and guidance to take their talents outside of a corporate office. Through candid conversations and wisdom share, we deep dive into the evolution of work and how to step off the ladder that wasn't built for us in the first place. I'm your host, Twanna Toliver. LaShonda Brown is a tech educator and YouTube expert that teaches service providers how to work less and live more by leveraging tech and YouTube. Her YouTube channel, Bootstrap Biz Advice, helps thousands of entrepreneurs in real time on how to keep our profit margins high and expenses low. Hey, LaShonda. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you agreed to talk to me today. I'm really excited to interview you. You have become one of my favorite people in I have a really small business community. I have my Instagram channel. The folks that I follow are really strategic. I don't follow celebrities because I'm like, if I have to be on social media, I'm going to be on social media in a strategic way. And so that's kind of where I want to start, because I want to start on how we met. It was definitely over a year ago. I came across your channel on Instagram, and your reels were just so delightful, engaging, and offered so much value. And you offered value for so long that I was practically begging you to take money from me. I was just like, so can I pay you to do my YouTube channel?
Yeah, I got that a lot.
I was like, so where do you got a course? Do you coach? Like, what do you do? And you were like, no, I'm just offering, work. I was coming to your workshops. I was just like, I'm waiting for the offer at the end of the workshop. There was no offer. I was like,
no offer.
And so you really spent over a year just really offering really great value. Your videos were just high quality. And you spent a lot of time nurturing us. You really did. And I want to talk about that. Was it a strategy?
It became a strategy. So, you know how a lot of students will do like a gap year in between high school and college. So 2022 was like my career gap year, going from being a full-time corporate film producer to transitioning to being a content creator. And I have a love-hate relationship with social media to begin with. And so I'm like, how do I do social media for a job? I love creating videos for clients. I'm completely capable of creating content for YouTube, but I don't want to be consumed with the rat race of social media. So like, what does that practically look like? What do people need? What should I be creating? And so I started to look around, I think around June. And I'm like, oh, I haven't sold anything for 6 months. This is so nice. And so I was like, well, I went 6 months without doing it. So let's do 6 more. So I can say the first year of doing YouTube, I didn't sell anything. And so I started implementing Buy Me a Coffee simply so people could tip me, because I would get people sliding in my DMs saying like, what's your PayPal? What's your Cash App? Like, you've given me so much value. I feel like you're my coach and you're not charging me anything. And what was so wonderful about that is the tech companies were my primary customer. They were giving me commissions for sending them qualified leads and customers. And so I didn't have to charge my students to watch my content or consume things I was creating. And it gave me an entire year to really understand, what do they need to hear and how do they need to hear it? I would listen to like the pain points of like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to be on a webinar that constantly has a pitch. I don't want to be on there thinking I'm going to learn one thing and 45 minutes in, I get like 10 minutes of information and I've wasted almost an hour of my day. And so I began to realize that if I just took, a little sabbatical from selling, I could actually set up a business model that was more in alignment with where I wanted to go. And so now I'm beginning to introduce like more offers and test things out this year. And I'm already brainstorming, next year and thinking, okay, how do I refine the offers? What do I want to add? Where do I want to go with this? And I'm really in a season of wanting to delegate in an even bigger way so I can continue to work 20 hours a week. Because with the type of work that I do, that's the sweet spot. When I start going to like 30 and 40 hours doing what I do now, it shows on the content. It just shows. And it's a different type of brain power required. And so when I can stick to 20 hours a week, I see the quality of the content goes up, the outcomes go up for my students, and everybody wins. So
I love that.
I'm excited to do things differently because I'm kind of sick of seeing everybody have the same business model.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love that.
And not sell.
Yeah, you did not sell. And I should have put that 20 hours in your bio that I just read, because that was also something. I'm just like, when she said, 20 hours. And I'm like, okay. And even when you started selling, you stuck to that. It was like, okay. So in full transparency, I did hop on when you decided to do you, like me. And even then you were like, okay, how can I do this in 20 hours a week? And I love that. I love the boundaries that you set and you kept for yourself. And it shows in the quality of your work, in the quality of your coaching. I enjoyed every moment of it and got so much value out of it, just triple fold. So I love that. And I love this idea of it. And if you are a woman that is contemplating starting your own business and you still have your day job, this, I think, is the perfect way to start. You have the day job supplementing your income. That's what I like to say.
Right.
And so
it's the number one investor in your business.
It is. It's the number one. Yeah, that's the way I like to think of it. And so why not use that time to just throw out, you hear, that's why again, like I said, I'm on social media strategically, but a lot of the reason why I am is because there's so much, just not besides misinformation, there's just so much bad advice. And one of the things I remember hearing folks say, do things in silence. And no, that's, you can't.
No, build it in plain sight.
In plain sight.
Build it in plain sight. Because what happens when you build it in plain sight, your target customer gets to help craft the product.
Yes.
So when you are ready to sell, they feel like they've been a part of the process. When you build it in silence, you don't even know if people want what you're selling. And you could spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours creating a product that there's no audience for.
And nobody wants.
I hate that idea because now I will say this though. I think you should ideate in silence. Every idea you have should not be communicated.
Oh, absolutely.
To a customer. You don't need to tell people, well, I'm pondering this. Well, I might do that. So that type of stuff, keep that in your inner circle, your journal, your project management tools. But when it comes to crafting a product for your target customer, if you let them in, you came up with the name, you came up, with the solution. Ask people, is this a problem that you have? I mean, so many times people say, man, this is 90% of what I needed. Mm-hmm. If you had just asked me, I could have just told you that 10% that was lacking and it would have been a home run. And man. I just think that communication is so key when it comes to creating online products, because we're so inundated with options that you don't have the luxury of just being a generalist anymore. We have to be very specific and say this product, this service can do this thing by this time, and then let people decide if you're the right person to deliver that service or product to them.
Absolutely. I love it. It's a great strategy. And I'm going to move on. I want to talk about briefly, for those that don't know, back in 2001, I started a body care line called Body Blessings. And I remember that there were not any tech tools on the market to help me start my business, grow my business. From a CRM, just to keep track, I would keep track of my clients in a spreadsheet. And there was just hardly anything around. And if there was something around, it was hard to use, or it was totally out of my reach. It was totally expensive. So fast forward today, and we talk about tech tools. There is something new on the market that pops up almost every single day. And how do you leverage technology in your business, but not get caught up in all of the shiny new object syndrome? Like, oh, there's something new. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. How do you stay focused, but still leverage tech tools?
I think the number one thing that all of us need to get in the habit of doing is writing down what are the things that we're trying to accomplish in our business and be tool agnostic is what I call it. So it's like, okay, instead of saying this is my email marketing tool, say for yourself, how do I want to market my business online? I want to market my business online through emails, through text marketing, through, fill in the blank. And so once you have those categories of what you're trying to accomplish, I would say on a yearly basis, sometimes twice a year, reevaluate. Are there new tools? Is there something out that can do it better or can do it for cheaper? Or, we were just talking before this podcast about so many different options just to record a podcast now. Things evolve so quickly, and I'm getting more and more of that information the closer I work with tech companies. Once a quarter, most of these companies are rolling out major feature updates, or they're being bought and sold. And so it's important that you don't get so caught up in the tool you're using and you focus more on what is it that I'm trying to accomplish in my business. And I will find the best tool for me in that season. Because say for instance, early on my YouTube channel, I did a comparison video, pros and cons of 3 different email marketing software. Now there's so many on the market, but I had already used, by the time that video came out, 3 different software companies just to send emails to my free list, because one was absolutely free. One had all these automations and features, and one, had a rate that didn't increase based on the size of my list. And so there were pros and cons for all 3. And so for some people getting started, the freebie is the best thing out there. You may not have all the features, but you need to keep your expenses low. Absolutely. But then you start to get to a point where it's like, okay, time is money, and maybe I need to change the tool so that I can free up more time. So you just have to constantly reevaluate it.
Yes, I love that. And that it's true, because if not, you're going to spend so much time trying to figure out, and people don't realize, besides the money, it takes time to learn a new technology. Yeah, and so now you're sitting there, if you're not learning it, you got to train your staff, you got to train the folks that you work with, you got to bring someone in. So you do have to take that into consideration. I love that. I want to spend some time talking about community. And it is important. We hear a lot about community, build your community and so forth. But it is important for a business. It's definitely important for a service-based business, but there's a lot of noise. There are a lot of platforms that you can use to build your community. But one that you hold dear and that you love, and you coached me on it this summer, and I'm understanding its power, and I want you to talk about, is YouTube and the role that it plays in how you build your community, and how a entrepreneur, I work with women entrepreneurs, how they can leverage and use YouTube to build, engage, and nurture their community.
Well, I think the number one thing I need to say to anybody who's not on YouTube is calm down. Just calm down. The number one thing I get from people is, I don't know how to make movies. I don't know how to make videos. I can't do YouTube. It takes too much time. Meanwhile, I guarantee you, if you added up all the hours you spent making Instagram Reels or TikToks, you got time for YouTube. And so I think it's important that you realize that YouTube has multiple surfaces, just like Instagram, for instance. You got your Instagram stories, you got your Instagram Reels, you got your Instagram videos that kind of show up like Reels, you've got your posts and things like that. On YouTube, you've got YouTube Shorts, which is their equivalent of TikTok or Instagram Reels. You've got YouTube Live, which obviously will be a live equivalent to any of the other platforms. You have the community tab, which looks a lot like your feed on Instagram. And then you have feed videos. And so I have friends who have shorts only accounts. They're just repurposing what they're doing on TikTok and Instagram so that they can diversify their income. So even if all you did was post vertical content, that's an option now, which wasn't in the beginning of YouTube. So even if that's the sole purpose of your account, you could do that. The community tab is going to give you ways to just, post a picture or post a link and not have to worry about spending hours editing or preparing a script. Going live is a way for you to edit real time.
Yes.
So you're not paying someone to edit your content, and you can speak directly to your community. And so at the very last end, in my opinion, on YouTube is that feed video. And I'm beginning to realize that people appreciate higher quality feed videos less often than just tons of feed videos that are poor quality. And so in my opinion, it would be better to post 2 times a month, but go live once a week, And so I think what's interesting is using YouTube as a way to engage with your community. I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh, let's go on Instagram Live. And I'm like, to talk to who? 5 people? Like, what are we doing here? That is not a good way to share a video.
Yes.
But you do a YouTube Live, and now you have a link that someone can watch without having to have an Instagram account. And you can share that out in your email newsletter. You can repost it to LinkedIn. You can put it anywhere. And so my thought process is, we only have so much time to market ourselves.
Yes.
Why are we limiting our reach and our potential by not including YouTube in our content marketing strategy? So you decide how much time you have for the platform. Remember, it's the long game. So it's better for you to start it now and for you to, build it in the background than to try to wait to like, oh my goodness, I need leads today, and then start your channel at that point. Because it's slow growth, and most people, it takes a little bit to get your rhythm, to build your audience. But I will tell you, like, the leads I get from YouTube, the income I make directly from Google, it makes it so much more fun because I'm being paid to market my business, and no other platform compensates creators like YouTube. So I think it's a no-brainer. People are starting to slowly get it together. I've been singing this song for years.
Yes, you have. But you're right.
They're coming around.
They're coming around. I think that you said something that I think a lot of folks do not realize. So you can share, you can go live on YouTube. You can do a YouTube video and share that link. No one needs a YouTube account. But if you go live on Instagram, it's like, you're just making an assumption that everybody's on Instagram that is that wants your business, your product, or your service. And now you give them this Instagram, you can't really put an Instagram link. You go live on Instagram, you don't have that many followers. Yeah, I love that idea of not going immediately to Instagram, but we have been programmed, even folks like me who have this love-hate relationship with social media. So we've been programmed that we need to do everything on Instagram. And I'm a true believer that if you were not an early adopter to Instagram, I really do feel that you're wasting your time on the platform. That is my humble opinion.
Well, and my point thing too is, like, you've got to think about, it's so much easier to make long content shorter than short content longer. And so it's like, okay, dump it all on YouTube, and you can chop it up and put 60 seconds up as an Instagram reel and say, watch the full video on YouTube. Like, you have so many more options when you start with a platform that's designed for long form content. And, Instagram reach is down, and, it is what it is. So I definitely think, because YouTube is a search engine and it gives you the ability to put those clickable links, to optimize it for search. When you rank high on YouTube, you rank high on Google, and it helps your website. I'm like, there's so many pros. I'm like, why are we? And I think so much of it goes back to feeling obligated. And you're the one that creates the business plan and the marketing strategy for your business. Don't feel boxed into marketing on a platform just because everyone else is doing it.
Yes.
Because if you don't like it, you're not going to use it.
You're not going to help you. Nope, it's not going to help you. And people can tell that you really don't. I can look at a reel or someone live on Instagram, and a lot of, especially if they're really uncomfortable and someone told them to do it, they normally say it. Like, oh, they told me, I got to do a live. And I'm like, You don't have to do Instagram. Someone may have told you that, but you don't have to do it. And they're like uncomfortable and they're like sweating. I'm just like, oh no, poor baby, you don't have to be on Instagram Live if you don't want to be.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
I tell people all the time, like, don't create a jail for yourself. Like, your business should be about your freedom, not your bondage. Yes. Like, do what works for you.
You got to do what works for you. I love this. This was a good conversation. And I really hope that if there is like one takeaway from our conversation is that you have options. You have options, so many options, but you need to be able to pick the option first and foremost that works for you. It has to work for you. You have to evaluate it. You have to make sure that you're comfortable. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. When I first started watching all of your content and you were talking about YouTube, I had this just like idea in the back of my head that YouTube was just a lot of work. And after working with you, I was just like, it actually is not.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that complicated, but it is a great way. And I love the fact that it's a search engine, right? Yeah. So I feel like your content is going to go longer and further. And so I love that. So if that's one takeaway, and is that you have the option, and just to give yourself grace to be able to just get on the platform and see what it can do for you. So I just love that. Thank you so much, LaShonda. How can folks and honestly, find you?
Yeah. And one more thing I will say too, is when it comes to technology, I would just encourage people to not sign up for free trials for everything. There are so many YouTubers that do not work for you.
Yes.
You know, what tends to happen is we all hear about a new tool, we create an account, you know, and it just starts to overwhelm you. And if you have tech overwhelm, you're not going to use the tool. And I will tell you, the amount of times I have signed up for free trials, forgotten I did, and have been charged in the background month after month after month for things I'm not using, it's ridiculous. So just make sure that you do your research. And I think YouTube is a great platform for doing that. If you find out about a new tool, just type in that tool and say tutorial or overview or review, and get someone's opinion of that tool before you go and sign up for it. You can always go to my YouTube channel, Bootstrap Biz Advice, and that's a great place to look for things that I've vetted and I've tried. And you can always find me at LaShondaBrown.com so you can see what platforms I'm posting on. I really like LinkedIn right now. So it's kind of a LinkedIn YouTube game.
Yes.
Occasionally I pop up on Instagram, but that's where you can primarily find me.
I love that. That's so good. Thank you so much, LaShonda, for being here. I hope to have you back again soon. Bye.